Click on that. So that way you guys can see the closed captions. You can't hear me? Here.
I'm not getting the closed captions and your explanation. Where do you go at the bottom to start?
I'm going to type it and see if that helps. Can you see that? Okay. So are you able to see the captions now? Okay, perfect. All righty. So I'll wait to see if we'll wait till 5:35 to see if there's any other friends coming. I know during the summer can be really busy, so I completely understand. I mean, especially because, like, you know, last week I was busy, and so and then it's understandable. And so then I know probably next week I plan to, at the end of the meeting, kind of ask everybody who will be available for next week, because I know it's July 5th, but a lot of times families go on trips. So if you aren't able to make it next week due to a trip, totally fine. I mean, this class is a very kind of flexible class, like I think I've said. So I mean, it's only 2 of y'all right now, but it is recorded, so everyone else will see this just later. Because at first I was like, I'm telling this to 2 people, but then I remembered, oh wait, we are being recorded right now. So if you're not able to make it, if you will just let Katie know, so that way we can kind of see how many people show up. And again, it's not a bad thing if you can't join. Completely understand. So just let us know though, because we have had a few instances where I think the last time it was very close to July 4th. And Katie and I kind of, when we joined our meeting, we sat there like, wonder if anyone's coming. And I think only one person showed up. But, you know, it does kind of change how the class will go depending on how many people show up. So it is just kind of a nice little helpful tip for us. So, okay. I'm going to see if our other little friend joins, because I saw her show up and then I saw her go, and I think it's the internet. So 2 more minutes and we'll see. And then, I mean, we'll get started. Let me pull up my notes. And I know you also probably have noticed that Katie is not in this meeting or in this class right now. She's here, but she's working, I think, the front desk at the library. So she can't like be in it. But she is here. So just letting people know. It says we have 6 people. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Okay. All right, so I see 3 people. Then I looked at our participants list, and I see 2 other people are here. No, 1 other person is here, but cannot be seen, and that's okay. Usually Zoom, what they do before is they'll just have your name and have a square, so you see that they're here. But since I can't, but they've changed it. Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you, Katie. But since I've changed it, I can't always see who's actually here and who's not. So we'll just kind of go ahead, and if anybody kind of joins in late, we can kind of review it later, or yeah, we'll just kind of go as we go with it as it happens. All right. So for today, what we're gonna do first is we are going to review the numbers just a little bit, because I know that was 2 weeks ago. So I know it's been a long time. And then what we're gonna do today is we're gonna work on time. And what I mean by like time is I mean today, tomorrow, next week, next year, those kinds of things. And then after that, we're gonna start with family signs. And I will say this class might be a little more, because we didn't have last week, we might be a little more, having a lot more signs today. So we might not have as much of an opportunity to review as much, but you will have the signs yourself, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get started with some numbers. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just sign, well, actually, no. What I wanna do is for all of us, we're gonna sign numbers 1 through 25 together. And then, and it's totally fine if you can't remember. I saw your face. You were like, oh no. We're gonna do those together and kind of review those. And then I think I'll have 3 numbers we'll sign together. I mean, not sign together. I will sign to you. And
Can I say that I need more work with when you turn your hand?
And that's totally fine. Like I said, this, I mean, it takes time. It does take
Because
time.
we went through them very quickly and I wasn't doing it correctly.
No worries. And that comes like, and like I always like to say, the more you practice, the more you kind of pick up on that. And it kind of becomes more, I guess the word would be natural for it, natural to you to pick it up and work on it. So sometimes just practicing over and over again can help it kind of just happen its way. So, alrighty. Having to fix my screen. Okay, so let's get started. So we'll start with number 1. Okay, I'm gonna say them and then I'm gonna show up a little later. That way I wanna see if you guys, kind of give you guys like that test. So 2, 3, 3. So 3 is that, yeah. I know it's hard because we learned this growing up. But yes, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7. Oh wow, you guys did that one fast. Most people hesitate on 7. Good for y'all. All right. Then 8. Yes, Maggie.
I thought you're supposed to be this way for 1, and then when you get to 6, you turn your hand around.
So some people will, they'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll keep it forward. Some people do, like you said, do the back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Honestly, I've not seen it be a big confusion. More of the times when they see some people doing that is, some people will do it for like if they're doing 24, like, or 27, they'll go 2, 7 or 2, 1, something like that. So if you keep it facing forward, that's not wrong. Like I tend to do mine forward like this. And then when I start to do the 10s, the like 11s, 12s, and 13s, that's when I show the back of my hand. So 1 through 10 can be forward, it can be backwards. I mean, I tend to do this when I'm counting to myself. So I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I look at it, I see it facing me. But if I'm just doing them generally, I will have them facing outward, if that makes sense. So it's when we're doing like 11 through 18, 19, not 18, 11 through 18. Oh, why did I say that again? 11 through 19, you will see that change of the back of the hand and the front of the hand. But 1 through 9, you can do forward. All right, so we were on 8. 8. Then we have 9. Good. Then 10. 11. So this is where the back of your hand wants, yeah, there you go. Good. Then we have 12. 13. Good. 13. Then we have 14. Yep. 14. Hi, Nancy. We're doing the numbers right now. Yeah, we're just going through 1 through 25. So then 15. 15. Then 16. So 6 and shake. Or you can do, yeah, the fancy pinky. I remember thinking that was so fancy, and now I do it. I love it. I get so like, huh, look at me. But 16 is still the same. And then 17. 17, good. So 7, shake, or the ring finger bouncing. Yeah, but I'll just do the shaking. Then 18. 18, good. 19. And then 20. Good, yeah, 20. So think of baby shark. All right, 21. All right, so 21, you can do 2, 1. The more common is the 21, yeah. Then we have 22. So 2, 2. This one is the 22. And then you guys are thinking 23. 23. Yeah. Then we have 24. 2, 4. And then 25. 25. Yes. There y'all go. Or 2, 5. That works. All right. I will say, you guys, I'm really impressed because most people get their 7s and their 8s mixed up every single time. I mean, I did it, and I still will do it. So like, you guys got to give yourself a pat on your shoulders, like, or your backs, not your shoulders. Well, I mean, it is your shoulder, but a pat on your back for like getting your 7s and your 8s right. So, okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to assign 3 numbers, and I want to see if you guys can recognize them. You can either type them in the chat or you can say them. So, and they're gonna kind of build on themselves. So what I mean is, like, we'll start small and then get bigger, if that makes sense. Okay, sound good? Oh, excuse me. All right, so our number 1 is, let's see. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. I'm doing it higher so you guys can see it better, that's why. Do it again. All right, and I'll do it one more time. So if you got 83, that's right. So 83. Most people, they'll do it that lower, but because we're on Zoom, you can't see it easily. That's why I'm doing the higher. So, all right, let's see our number 2 right here. All right, ready? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm going a little fast. I'm gonna slow down. All right, once more. All right, so this was 427. I realized that that's why I kept trying to go with that 400 faster, is because some people think, oh, it's just 400. I was adding more. So totally fine though. All right, so then let's do our last one. Okay, this one might be a little hard. I'm gonna go very slow. This is not a smooth number, so give y'all that little hint. All right, ready? Okay. All right, I'm gonna do it again. All right, again. Sorry, I was looking at the numbers. All right, once more. Okay, so this was 3,289. Now I know sometimes I was trying to keep them close, but then I always worry if I get too close, you guys can't see it fully. But yes, so 8, 9. All right, well, y'all did good. Like, yes, numbers can be real tricky for people. So that's why I always am like, ooh, hopefully everyone can. That's where I feel like the practice, the ABCs and the practicing of the numbers are like super important. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get started with our time signs because we did not go over those like 2 weeks ago, correct? We just did numbers. That's what I thought. Okay. Some classes, like we'll go through the numbers really, really fast and we'll start time. That's why I wanted to check with everybody. So the first sign I'm going to show you is time itself. And the sign for time is super easy. I've done it already a couple of times and it's time. You just tap on the top of the back of your wrist. So it's like a watch. Does not matter if it's on your left or if it's on your right, as long as you're pointing in the general time, like direction of how a watch would be. And I know I get teased because I'm left-handed, but I have my watch on my left wrist. I grew up in a family of right-handed people. I thought it was normal. You have it on that wrist. And then someone was like, no, left-handed people are supposed to have it on the right hand. And I was like, it's too late. I've already gotten it natural. So my kids will tease me when I do this because they're like, your watch is right in front of you. And I'm like, I know, but I'm not right-handed. I'm left-handed. So it really, either way that works for you. Okay. Then also the tapping doesn't matter how much. I mean, you can keep tapping like how we do when we're teasing our, like I tease my mom about this when she's taking a long time, like getting ready. I just sit there and I'm like, it's time to go, mom. So it doesn't really like have a big, okay, you tap it once, you tap it twice. That doesn't mean make any changes to it. All right. Now the next one I have is today. So the sign for today, you're going to have 2 Y's. You're gonna have them facing up and kind of, yeah, there you go. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna bounce them. So see, look, Maggie, you wanna have like your wrists facing up. So there, turn them and lay them down. Yep, there you go. And you're gonna bounce them twice today. This one, it does matter how many times you bounce it. You bounce it twice for today. And if you only bounce it once, that's the sign for now. So, that was always a funny joke with our class was that you'd be saying, well, I'm happy today. And you'd be like, I'm happy now. I'm happy now. I'm happy today. There's like a whole different like personality with it. Like you're just, the whole responses were funny. So now, today. Today. Now. I know I kind of mixed those. I'm sorry. We got our today and then now. Then we have tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to have your thumb on the corner of your mouth. And it, again, doesn't matter which one. And you're going to go tomorrow. And you're going to go forward into a thumbs up tomorrow. Tomorrow. And one thing you're going to notice, I'm going to say this now, is one of the cool things with time-based, especially in ASL, is it's very like visual, which I mean, it makes sense. Is how anything that's happening in the future isn't going to be in front of you. Anything that's happening now is going to be like right around with you. And anything in the past is going to be behind us. So that's how you would say things like, oh, I walked yesterday. So like if I finished, you would show it going in the back, or I will walk tomorrow instead of saying that will, because there's not really a sign for will in ASL. I mean, there is, but not in that. Well, you can use it because it's also the relation of, it gets complicated on that. We're not going to, I chose a bad example, but basically you wouldn't just use those ed and those kinds of phrases, you would actually just use the sign and then the sign for past and present and future. So we had, like I said, tomorrow. Yesterday is going to be, there are two ways to do it. Yesterday, this one's kind of more common. It's going to be, now you have that Y thumb, and you're going to go back to your ear. Yesterday. Yesterday. Some people will do it with just the thumb from your corner of your mouth to your ear. Yesterday. I did start this way, and then my students kept doing this, and I picked up on it. So it's like a habit. So yesterday. And then, see, I'm gonna move this chat so I can see everybody bigger. There we go. So let's go over those four, I think was now, 4 or 5 that we have. And then we're gonna go on to time, like minutes, seconds, days, weeks, months. So today. And then we have our now one. I always just think about being like your mom saying, get over here now, with that like final like slam, you better come over here, you're in big trouble. Kind of don't know why my mind thinks that, but it does. Yes, Abe.
So every time you've said now, it's been sort of with an emphasis or like a, like a demanding sort of now. Is it only, does that really mean, does it have that context or that kind of feeling when you say now? Or would you say it like, hey, I think we're going to go to the gym now. Like, we're doing the next thing, like, whatever.
So basically it depends on the context of the sentence. So I tend to over dramatize. It is very helpful in when you're signing to have very big dramatic facial expressions. So I tend to do that big now, but like, for example, if I was telling my kids, guess where we're going right now? I'd be like, y'all know what we're doing right now? Like, I'd be all excited and happy. So you don't have to go that full now every time. Like you're saying, now we're going somewhere, just that now, it's just that one bounce. But I tend to just kind of show that emphasis of, you can use it as the mom saying, you come here right now, in that angry face, but it just depends on how the sentence is and how that's basically how we do our exclamation points, if that makes sense. Okay, so then we had tomorrow. Tomorrow. And then we have yesterday. So yesterday, it's either the Y or just the thumb. And you're just going back to your ear. Yeah, yesterday. Okay, so now we're gonna start on our, what is the word for that? Not conversions of time. Basically our parts of our time. So seconds, I mean, it has a sign. It's not really used very often. The way it's set is that seconds is going to have your non-dominant palm up and sideways. And then your dominant is going to be in a pointer finger. And you just kind of move your finger very slightly. And that's like your seconds. And you want it sideways. I'm just angling it so you guys can see how my hand moves. Yeah. The reason it's not always kind of used as much, I mean, if you're talking about seconds, it makes sense. You can use it, but is that the sign for minute is minutes, or minutes is just bigger. It's that motion. So they're very similar. So seconds is very tiny, minutes is bigger. More commonly, I have seen and used for minutes is going minute. So non-dominant has their pointer finger at the bottom of your dominant, and you go minute. So if I'm saying 5 minutes, we have 5 minutes left. I'm leaving in 5 minutes. I would say going 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So this one's more commonly used than minutes. But if you were talking, I guess, like if you were talking in a science-based kind of any information, then you would use the seconds, minutes. All right, then we have hour. So we're gonna have our, this is pretty much like the base of our clock, if that makes sense. So you'll have this sideways again. An hour is gonna have that pointer finger. Now you're gonna go in a full circle, hour, hour. And I am told, I mean, there is the specific way you follow how a clock does, but again, this is very much like they see the motion of a circle, they know you mean an hour. They're not going to look at you and go, oh, Hour backwards of an hour? Oh, like they're not going to teach you. They might, if they're really particular, they might teach you, but it won't be like a big, I have no idea what you're talking about. So hour. And then we have day. So the sign for not today, for day is you're now going to have your non-dominant arm sideways, and you kind of want to end it in a fist. You can have it open either way, and your dominant hand is going to be, there are two ways you can do it. Making that D shape at the top. So, and then you go down, day. And I always visually think of it as the sun going from up all the way down to the bottom, like how a day goes. The sign for like all day is you have it open now, all day. All day. So we have our day, all day. Okay. So then we have week. So we're working on our times right now, and we will go reviewing them in a little bit. So we have our week. So the sign for week is you're going to have your non-dominant palm up. Dominant again is in that pointer finger, and you're going to swipe it across, week, week. And you don't want to go like all the way off. You just kind of go week, week. I'll get a little closer, week. And then we have month. Month is always an awkward one to show. Yes, 8.
How do you say next week?
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't you worry.
Okay.
I start basic and then we'll build. I promise. That one is our next. Those are our next ones to do. Once we go through year, we will get to our futures. I promise. So then we have month. So month's always a little awkward to me. Basically, what you're going to do to describe it, is you're going to have your non-dominant pointer finger up facing this way. You do want it kind of to see the fingers out. Your dominant hand is going to be pointer. You're going to turn it facing you, and you're going to go like the back of the fingers are going to go across the back. Yeah. Month. Yeah. I'm going to try to turn. Nope, you can't see it that way. I'll go this way. So month. So Maggie, have your left hand facing out in a pointer. And then have your right hand facing you. And then you're going to turn your right hand sideways and keep it facing you. Yeah. And then you're going to push it, have it. Yeah, there you go. Month. So this is sign for month. And then we have year. So the sign for year is you're going to have 2 fists. You want your dominant hand on top. And then you're going to go year. And you do want this one to go forward. Year. Year. So you just kind of make it go in a circle around the other fist. All righty. So let's go back to here we go. Our seconds, minutes, and then once we get through all those, I will show you how to do next week, last week, and those ones. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we have our seconds. Very little. So Mary Beth, what you're going to do is you're going to have your non-dominant palm sideways, your dominant hand's in that pointer finger on top of it, and then you're going to bounce. Yeah, and you want it very lightly, like a little. Yeah, like bouncing it back and forth. And then we have our minute. So minute can be the bigger one or the more commonly one, minute. So you have your pointer finger at the bottom of your wrist, of your dominant wrist. So, and you basically do how many minutes you're saying. So if you're doing 1 minute, you do 1, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Yeah, 20 minutes. It gets weird. You want to basically, if you're doing like 20 or 21 minutes, something like that, 30 minutes, you would do like the hand motion of it and then go 20 minutes, 20 minutes. It gets a little interesting when you get to those big shaking numbers. Then we have hour. So it's going to be that same. And now you're going to go in a circle, hour. Hour. And this is one you also can do the 2, 3, 5 hours. 3 hours. That motion. So.
For this one, you said my non-dominant is flat. So you are left-handed.
Yes.
Then, okay.
So yours, guys, will probably, don't judge me. I always hesitate when I go right hand. Yours will look like this. Oh, that just feels so weird to me. I'm so used to the left-handed, you guys. It's like when I stare at myself trying to do right hand, it's like trying to write with the opposite hand. And you're just staring at like, what is this magic? So, and you just go in that circle. Here. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Then we have our day. So our day is going to have our non-dominant arm across. Dominant's at the top and that almost like that D shape. What is that D shape? And then you go down. Yep. Day. And then all day is open hand. And you go down all day. Yep. Good. All right. Then we have week. So week is that non-dominant palm up. And then you go week. And this is also another one of those 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, that motion. That's one of the nice things about these is that you can easily kind of just add on and then you get your weeks in it or get your time, your number of weeks, hours. I'm explaining this and not as a me to explain, you know what I mean. All right, so then we have month. We have our non-dominant facing out, dominant facing towards us. Now it goes sideways and goes the back of the hands, back of the fingers. Yep, month. This one you can do 2 months, 3 months. I have also seen people, because it can get easily a little confusing, doing 7 months, 8 months. So you can go straight up, just say 8 and then go 1, or you can do 8 all the way back. Either way, it's whatever's comfortable for you. Yep. And then we have year. So year. And this is one you wouldn't really do 5, 6. I'm trying to think if I see this often. I mean, you can, I think, do 9 years, but most of the time they do 9 years, 9 years. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you do. Now, is I'm going to show you guys how you would do next week, next year, next month, last week, last month, those things. So it's basically the same motion, but with the sign, if that makes sense. So we've already done our days because our days are tomorrow and yesterday. So we'll go on to our weeks. And so there are technically 2 ways you can do the sign for next week. I'll show you the more common one, the more like, I guess, proper one, and then the more kind of what you would use, almost like slang, I would say, a little bit more that way. So next week is you're going to do that same motion of week, and now you go forward. So see, I'm going to turn this way you guys can see that. So I'm going across, and then I'm going forward. So next week. And then for the more not so fancy one, you would do next week. And basically what you do is you have the back of your hand now on your palm and you go across it and go under it. Next week. Next week. I avoided this one for like years because I was like, that doesn't, no, it's next week. It's next week. And then I had students who kept saying next week, next week. So either way is right. This one I think is a little more easier for new learners because it's very, like I said, it's that future is forward, next week is in the future, so you're going forward. So then, and this one just kind of, it throws me off. It looks like I'm doing some backwards, like going in the back, but also going forward, confusing. But that's what happens. So then we have last week. So last week is going to do the same thing. You're going to go across, but now you're going to go the back. Last week. Last week. Last week. Yep. Ooh, sorry, I know I keep doing this, but it's last week. All right, so then we have next month and last month. Next month and last month are a little, they don't feel right when you first do them because it's just the way the setting is, to me at least, is you do your month, next month. And then you have your last month that goes last month. And I don't know, I feel like this one I don't know if it's just because it's cutting across everything and I tend to have have them close, but it just always feels weird to me going last month. So then we have next year. So for next year and last year, you don't always have to do the full hand year. You can go, you bounce it and then go forward. Next year. And then last year. So they made it a little simpler than having to go year, next year. It's just next year, last year. If you're doing something like, yes, Mary Beth.
Would I say 2 years ago? Like
So
2.
You would do, yes, so 2, because this is technically, I mean, this is used for 2 in some spots, but it's used more for like saying like 20, I don't even know, I'm trying to make up a number my brain can't catch with it, 29, like that. But if you're just saying 2, you would just leave it 2 years ago.
Okay.
So you would have it bounce first, and then you
Okay.
go backwards.
Okay, thank you.
And I tend to have my fingers, like wherever it is, kind of pointing outwards already. So I don't have them like this, where I might risk smacking myself with my fingers. That's a very common occurrence, you guys. I promise. If you hit yourself on accident, that means you're actually signing. I do it all the time. I have gotten multiple scratches on my chins because I get so excited and I sign and I'll scratch my chin. And it's a very common thing. So I tend to keep my numbers kind of sticking outward of like what makes sense. So it's not that about to hit myself in the face. So 2 years. Okay. So let's see. I was trying to think of, okay. So now I'm going to show you guys monthly, weekly, and annually. Yes.
I have one more question, sorry.
Oh, no,
So like, would it actually be a thing, like if you're saying, what are you planning to do in 2 years? Like you would actually go forward?
So you would go, if I was to be asking someone your plans 2 years from now, I would say 2 years, you what do? So I would start. We haven't gotten to our WH question words yet, but those are the who, what, when, where, whys. But basically when you do have questions, you tend to want the time in the front, and then you're like a question word at the end. So you would always want to start with, you're talking 2 years in the future. So 2 years from now, what will you do? So that kind of thing is you would do that motion for in 2 years from now. I hope that made sense. I know I might have made y'all a question like, what is she talking about with these WH question words now? And I'm like, we will get to them. It may not be this time, it may be next week, but we will get to them. All right. So for weekly, what you will do is you have your hand in the same motion for weekly with that pointer finger, and you just go back and forth weekly. Real easy. Just showing every week. If you're doing something like bi-weekly or every 3 weeks, you would do 2 weeks, like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You do that kind of motion. So then we have for our monthly is monthly. This one, I don't know why. I've never been a fan of the sign from fan of any signs related to monthly. I know that's kind of weird. I have nothing against it, but I just am like, I'm going to find another reason to explain this before I have to use the sign for like monthly or last month. Don't know what it is. And then we have yearly. So yearly or annually, because I mean, they both mean the same thing. Don't come at me if I don't say that correctly. If they're not, I mean, they're very similar. Because in ASL, you do use like the same signs for very similar things like that. So you'd go yearly. You basically just keep hitting your fist and flicking your finger forward that one, yearly. So how are you guys feeling on, sorry, I have a family group chat and they're like all texting right now. And that's why I keep swiping up. I'm like, I'm not trying to look at y'all's messages. But what I was saying is, how do y'all feel with your time signs? Do y'all feel good? Do you want to we can review again, or we could kind of move on to the family signs. I'll kind of let you guys kind of make that decision, because I know it's like we have like 20 minutes left. So I do want to give you guys as many signs as possible, but I also don't want it to be where you're so overwhelmed, you're like, I can't do this anymore. So what would you guys prefer? Would you guys rather review our time signs, or would you guys rather continue and go ahead with family signs? Okay, I see one person. Want to make sure I see some people get their hands typing, yeah. Okay, so I see two people say to continue on, because these videos are recorded, so you can always go back, and there's also videos that Miss Katie has from our classes before that have like really broken out timestamps. So you do have more options. I hope if that's okay with everybody, it's just kind of going on ahead with our family signs. We'll get to as many as we can. And when we, I feel like we should be able to get through them all, but if we don't let me forget the next class, because I will forget and I will continue on without finishing them. Yes.
When I'm talking to my new friends who's speaking ASL, they say they use this, and I was kind of surprised because I know we say like yeah a lot in conversation, and probably like don't notice it. So I didn't know if that was just like yeah, like acknowledging or like agreeing. And then my other question is like, is your thumb like this, like, or is it like this when you do yes?
So mine tends to be yes, doing this.
Okay.
One of the cool things with ASL is that pretty much every region has their own sort of form of slang with signs, and like their dialect slightly change. So some signs they may do like yeah, like that can mean for them yeah or yes, but I mean in the end we still know it means agreement, you know what I mean? So some kids will do kind of like this or do this. It really just depends on the person, you know. I tend to, since I didn't grow up with it, like with the language, I tend to do my yeses fully. It's almost like, I know I have a friend who's from Israel, and when she talks, she doesn't always use contractions. You know, she uses the full English sentence. Whereas, you know, I'll say, you know, like I just said, all or y'all, you know. I feel like it just kind of changes depending on the person, especially if they've grown up with it. They have their own little forms of different signs that they use. So it's always cool to learn and see them though. All right, so let's start with our family signs. Okay, so we're gonna start with mom. So mom is going to be all 5 fingers standing up. Your thumb is gonna touch your chin. Yep, pretty sure you guys probably already see this. It's one of the most common basic ones that we see. Mom, and then dad. If you're doing parents, it's parents. You just kind of do both. Some will go sideways. It really doesn't matter. Parents, parents. Then we have sister. So sister is going to be, you're going to have your 2 fingers in that the shape. You're going to have your dominant hands, like pointer finger on your chin. I tend to do have my thumb kind of flatter, if that makes sense. And then you go down, sister. So touch, sister. Stack them on top. Yep, sister. If you do it without that motion, you're saying right. Like, you're right. So if you're saying, yeah, I have a sister, but you go, yeah, I have a right, they might be a little confused. So sister. Then we have brother. So brother's going to be now the same thing, but at the top of your, yep, brother. I love that they're very like, they make sense. And one of the things, the reasons is they'll have all the females down here and all the males up here. One of the reasonings is because of like hats. Basically, when ASL was really forming, they take it based off of, you know, more men wore caps. And so that's why they're all up here. So now what we'll do is we're going to do boy and girl. And the reason is because those tie in with how you would say son and daughter. So the sign for boy is boy. It's like you're pinching the cap of the hat. Yep, boy. And then girl is going to be girl. Your thumb and goes down the side, almost kind of like following your like jawbone. So girl. And if you do every day, I love that. Yes. But if you do like this motion, like the backwards and forwards, that means every day. Like every day I do this. Yes, Samantha.
Okay, so isn't this also hearing? Or
So-
this is deaf, right?
So deaf is going to be, you have that pointer finger and it starts at the corner of your mouth and goes back to your ear. Mouth to ear is deaf.
Okay. But with the finger, not the thumb.
Yes, that's where
Okay.
that difference comes in. And then with hearing is going that circular. It's almost like you're brushing your teeth, sort of. I don't know how, like, yeah, you're just kind of bouncing and going in a loop. So that's how you would do hearing.
Okay.
And do you mean, when you mean boy and girl, male and female? Oh, okay. Sorry. We went to deaf and I was like, oh wait, no, you don't have to change out that. So no, this is just boy and that's just girl. For male, female, man, and woman, they do have their own, those two have their own signs that are the same. So the sign for man is just, you do that dad, and then you come to your chest. So man, and then woman. So if you're saying male or female, that's the same way. So male, female. All righty. So we had our boy and our girl. Now for your child, basically when you're saying I have a daughter, I have a son, we'll start with daughter first. So daughter's going to go girl, baby. You kind of make that girl to baby motion. And then for boy, you go cap to baby motion. Baby. So yes, even if they are 50 years old, they are still your babies. So boy to baby is son. Now, let's see. I'm trying to make sure. Grandparents. I always tend to go in a little bit of a different direction every time. Yeah, that's it. So grandfather is grandfather. You're bouncing it forward. Yeah. Grandfather. And then you have grandmother. Grandmother. All right. And then for like great grandparents, they tend to fingerspell great, and then we'll go great grandpa, great grandma. I know I'm signing them backwards as I'm saying them. I tend to do that. I promise it's still grandma, grandpa. And then for our aunt and uncle, so you'll do A for aunt, and you shake it next to your chin. So you want it close to your face because that is showing that it's a girl. So aunt, and then uncle. Yep, uncle. You have that U. Yep, uncle. And then for cousins or cousin, you do the C. If you're talking about a specific boy or specific girl cousin, you do it up to that point. So up is like boy cousin, down is girl cousin. But if you're just talking about a general cousin, like if the sibling, I mean, not the sibling, the boy or girl doesn't really, it doesn't matter. You're just saying a cousin, or you're talking about multiple cousins, you do cousin. You just kind of almost like you're doing it next to your ear. Yeah, cousin. All right, let's see. Let's see, families. I know this is the part where I start to like, there's always different family dynamics. So you have to think. For granddaughter and grandson, I actually recently asked one of my coworkers who's deaf, what is the more common way she uses it? Because I've seen it many different ways. And so one way that some people do is they'll do that grandma and then go to the baby. Some people will just say, they will just fingerspell it, granddaughter or granddaughter. I'm trying to think of some other ways they say it. Still go granddaughter. I think this is one more commonly seen as grandbaby. And then I saw husband and wife. Thank you for that, because I will forget. So for wife, I know I start with the women. It's just like, that's my mindset. It's always been that way, and I'm so sorry. But it's basically, you have the back of your hand to your chin, the front of your hand's kind of open, wife, and you kind of clap them together, wife. And then husband. And I will say, this is also the sign for believe up at the forehead. Yes, I know. I have asked at least 20 different coworkers, guys, why husband, believe? Which is the difference? And some will tell me they use the pointer for believe. Some will say they use that for husband. One of them said the biggest thing is they'll just basically, they'll be saying it's in context. So, if you say, oh yeah, like my belief is working at home right now. That doesn't make sense as much as saying, yeah, my husband is working from home right now. So it is very much based on context. But that was always I've asked so many people, every time I see that sign, I immediately am like, guys, I have another debate for this. What is this? So, and there's always different responses. I do like that one. You know what? Yes, though. My belief is working from home. I wish. I mean, I do and I don't. That's the only sad part about being a teacher, you guys, is like, oh man, working from home just sounds so nice. But then when it actually happens, it's not nice. It's not fun at all. So I always go back and forth. I'm like, which would be worse? Home would be worse, as much as I hate to admit it. So my mom and dad still work from home, and they've not gone back in 3 years, 2 or 3 years now. And I'm like, I'm really jealous of you as much as I'm not. So, but anyways, okay. So then we have, oh wait, there was a question. So yes, I was spelling the word grand. I know I tend to really finger spell fast, but it was grand. And then I did add either daughter or daughter. But yes, I was finger spelling grand. All right, so now let's see. Okay, so in-laws. Okay, so, or actually before we do in-laws, let's go to step parents. I want to add that there because it's really simple. So step parents is basically, you just finger spell step mom, step, I'll slow down, step dad, step sister, step brother. You just add the finger spelling of step in front. For someone did ask me last class, for half siblings, and I believe you do the same thing, half sister, half brother. Excuse me. All right, so then on to in-laws. So basically what you'll do is you'll do mother, like mother-in-law. So mom, in, this is the sign for in, then law. So let me show you law. So law is your non-dominant, that sideways palm, and you have two L, you have not two L's, you have one L, and you bounce it on the top, bottom. This is for any type of law. So, laws with government, law, like your family visiting law, like visiting your in-laws, laws. It also is lawyer. So you do law person. So if you're a lawyer, there's your sign. Yep. And so for like mother-in-law, you go mom-in-law, in-law. It is kind of funny because I had one professor who's very big on, you don't do the sign for in for laws because you're not inside the law, they're your in-laws. And so she finger spells them. But I see a lot of people do in-laws. All right, let's see. Are there any other family? Well, the sign for family. I didn't show y'all that. That's kind of important. So the sign for family is 2 F's, and you're going to have them kind of start next to each other and then make a circle. Family. If you have like a big family, people will go like big family, small family, but like just being kind of like the basic term, it's just family. Yep, really small family. So just kind of family. Are there any other family signs you guys can think of? I'm trying to think of different types of relatives. Let's see. I think we got them all. I always feel like I'll forget one. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I am. Yeah, I saw someone move.
So I don't have another one, but I learned, mom, me, and daddy from baby signing, and so there, when I was taught it, it was like bouncing, like
Mhm.
mommy, daddy. Is
Mhm.
that was that mainly just kind of to get the baby to see it, or do people bounce for mother and father?
I'm trying to think if I see people doing. Some will do it. A lot of kids, I think, do it. It's really doesn't. There's not a mom, dad has to be this way. Mom, dad, either way works. I do think it was like you were saying, as kids, to show them, and I think you've noticed I tend to bounce a lot more when I'm showing you guys that sign, and so they probably saw it and kids copy it like that. One of the really cute things is watching really young children signing. I'm not gonna lie, it's super cute. My heart melts every time. But one of my favorite things is that because they're still learning their fine motor skills, they can't always sign the exact way. So they do it very similar like, and it's almost like babbling when we have in our English speech. We have those kids that can't fully form proper sentences or proper words. So they have a sound that is kind of matches with it. It's the exact same way in ASL. And I just think that is so cool and fascinating. I love what we have a few very little kids, and when I see them, I'm like, I know what you mean. Oh, that's cute. So I won't lie, I'm a sap for that. Also, yes, niece and nephew. Thank you. So niece and nephew you're going to basically do what you did for aunt and uncle with an N now. So niece, nephew. So, and then I have seen some people say if they use nieces and nephews, they just kind of do the in middle, but most of the time it's niece, nephew. If you were going to say something like how many children you have, I feel like this is very clear, but I'm just going to add this since we have 3 minutes left. You would do like 3 daughters, 3 sons, you do 3 and then daughters, 3 sons. And yes, so 2 daughters. Or 3 daughters, 2 daughters. Wait, how many? You say 2 or 3? Oh, 2 sons, 3 daughters. Oh no, 3 daughters, 2 children. Oh, okay. Get it. Sorry. My brain was like, am I seeing this right? You're also on a smaller screen in my defense. But one of the things I will mention, since we have a few minutes, and this can relate to family, is when you are like listing them out, you would have it like this, so hand motion or how many people. So my family is a family of 5. I have a brother and a sister. But if it was like a family of 4, you would do this. And basically the way you want to do is like however you start the order, you want to keep with it. So I tend to go in like age order. So basically I start with my mom, my dad, me, my sister, and brother. And I just was pointing this out to you guys because if you're ever like listing how many people are in your family, this is how you would do it. So like if you're saying you have 3, if you have 6, like a bigger family, you would do 6, and then you would do the open hand of this, and you would go down it. And then when you get to the next one, you would either do 6 or add another like finger to do that next person. So that is just a little thing. I know it's like, oh, okay, interesting, but all right, so we have 1 more minute left. Are there any questions you guys have? Or yeah, 1 minute. Yes, Mary Beth.
Yeah, so I guess my question is more like culturally based. So this week was at group where I met Omar and Ryan. Was the first week I was able to show them what I learned. And so I just said, if you sign, I can see you and I can learn. And I was like so excited because they were totally getting like everything I was saying when I was like super basic. However, the girls met separately this week, so I was just with Omara for some time, and I felt like she didn't really want to sign when she was with us because she's had implants since she was little, and she went to a lot of speech therapy, And I feel like she wants to like just be able to hang out with us without signing. And so then I was like, oh, now I can't like learn or use what I learned, but I still sometimes have a hard time understanding her. So I didn't know if you like had anything to tell me about that.
Mhm. Well, and that is a very common occurrence is there's a lot of kids, especially, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's a little sad sometimes is that a lot of kids who later come into adults have a hard time with identifying their deaf identity. And especially if they've been like pushed and pushed and pushed to have that speech therapy and with all the auditory and hearing aids and cochlear implants, they can be almost a little not confident in themselves. And, I think if we all remember back when we were in high school, the biggest thing was fitting in. And so, and that still goes into nowadays. And, being adults is we still want to fit in with our group. And so, one of the things I can definitely, I always say is like, it's their decision how they want like their form of communication. So respecting that. So if they don't want to sign, then not pushing and being like, well, you're going to sign with me, but like kind of leaving it. And the best way to do is just to be very honest, like, oh, can you say that again? But like, don't give up and be like, oh, I think that's something that we don't realize can be actually really hurtful is like our response if we don't know something is just to kind of do this nodding along. You don't really want to do that to someone who is still working on either their language or like no matter which form, if it's through speech or if it's ASL, I've noticed it really helps if you say, can you say that again? And not being like mean, like, what'd you say? Like, but like, can you say it again? Say it again, please. And be like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying, make sure. And most of the time people don't get offended when you do that. I can't always say they're never going to get offended, but I feel like a lot of people do pick up, you're coming from a place of like, you're caring, you actually are showing you're trying to, be honest with them because that's what everyone needs, if I don't make sense to people, I want people to tell me, hey, you're not making sense. Cause I can have some really weird, like explaining and expanding on things. And the way I can just describe is I can go in like a rabbit hole. Cause then I start to think about how am I explaining this? This doesn't make sense. And I keep changing. And like my best friend will have to tell me, I got it. I understand you. Like, and I know she doesn't mean it meanly. She's just being like, you don't have to continue. And I appreciate her for that. So I think definitely being patient and working with her as in you don't give up and stop talking to her and being like, oh, okay. But like still actively trying to have a conversation and, don't look at them like I feel like the biggest common misconception is that with deaf people is that people look at them and go, oh, because you're deaf, that means you have an intellectual disability. And that's not the case. That is not the case at all. Deafness, at least with most deaf people, their deafness is not based on an intellectual disability. Basically, I think of them as people if they came from Spain and I'm having to talk to them and they have Spanish. Like they only know Spanish. It's just a different language. And so I know a lot of deaf people don't want to be treated like they're they're not capable because they are. And so that's just my little tidbit is, respecting them and also respecting their boundaries with being like, I don't want to do ASL. Okay, that's your decision. Fine with me. So that I hope that I know I get really off into a big old little tangent on it, but I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, that's good. Thank you.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm more than happy to, any questions you guys have, like, yes. Oh, and like, you guys are more than welcome to ask me, even if you feel like this can be offensive, like this I don't want to offend anyone. Ask me, because I promise you're not going to offend me. And most of the time I probably had someone who asked me already too. Or I thought of it myself. And that's why I want this space to be is very safe. Like you ask me and I can tell you that would hurt their feelings. That would be offensive. So I'm helping you almost kind of like, I'm helping you learn it. So, but okay, so it is 6:34. I know people have to go. I will not keep you on. I did mention this to the few people before this class that were here. For next week, because I know July 5th, it's that big, July 4th is the day before. Some people probably going out of town. if you are going out of town, if you could like just email Katie and let her know, hey, I'm not going to be there, that would be great. Just a quick little email. It's not the end of the world if you don't join. It'll just help us know, because if we end up having only one person, it might be a much shorter class, or if no one shows up, it's those kinds of things. It's just kind of, it will help us know. So if you'll just let us know, that would be amazing. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of y'all's week. And I know it's not 4th of July yet, but happy 4th of July. I hope you guys have a lot of fun and get to see a lot of fireworks. So, all righty. Well, I will see you guys all next week. Bye.
I plan to show up next week.
Perfect.
Yeah, me too. I should be here.
Perfect. All right, I got 4 people down, I think. Awesome.
Me too. I'll be here.
Yes, this will be my biggest group. Bye. Y'all have a good week.
Bye.